Although it's been more than a year since the start of the Arab Spring, starting with one man who was assaulted by a police officer in Tunisia and took his own life by burning himself alive in protest. Uh, there were several attempts by Tunisia, um, Libya, and Egypt to give them a bit of a taste of the tragedy before anyone got a taste of the hope that lay that there possibly lies ahead for those countries. It took a war, a full scale war, and the first real military um, involvement of the European Union, aside from its it, its ascension to the American role in Kosovo and Bosnia, in Libya, where the EU took a lead role. But what's more important really is about the people on the ground. And like a pane of glass or a crystal of many different parts, everybody ran away as that. They could see the flames starting to burn behind that pane of glass to problems that they thought they could solve. They could definitely solve Egypt. I mean, Mubarak, everybody knew he was corrupt and a bad guy, and they could put the military in charge because the military had always run Egypt. Although the Mubarak family was extremely rich, they eventually showed that they were not the kind of feudal power base that they thought they were, and that of course has worried the Saudis because of course they're in a similar situation. Although of course they do have the military power to back it up. In fact, have been requested by other Gulf states to go in and suppress the Sunni populations there, who were asking for their democratic rights in Qatar and in the UAE as well. And of course, this is a problem for Saudi Arabia because the oil is mostly in the eastern part of the Shia-dominated parts of Saudi Arabia, and it will harm the Saudi Arabian neo-feudalist imperial projects, which is trying to co-opt the broad millions or billions of people who are involved in the Jihadist movement and Islamic fundamentalist movements. Now, of course, you've got other players in the involved in this potential disaster in the Middle East, with Iran as a Shia state, like almost like a Marxist historian said. It was that they were playing a role like the Leninist vanguard party, because of course the Shia are the majority in many states. You've also got the fault line with Pakistan, which is disintegrating and has nuclear weapons, and which the Saudis are propping up to keep the Americans bogged down in Afghanistan, and the involvement of China, which of course will have an interest as much as Iran and Pakistan do in what happens in Afghanistan, because they all share borders, as do the Russian satellite states, basically, in the Russian Federation and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and the Eurasian Union that the Russians are trying to build, which is all basically the Russian Chinese axis, and they're using Iran as a proxy. Now, of course, proxies have proxies, and I'll talk about that more in a video called "The Mad Dogs." But the fire behind the pane of glass that was about to break was, of course, the year-long struggle of the Syrian people who tried to do a unified, ethnically unified, religiously unified, peaceful protest movement. I mean, the Assad, to do this against the Assad crime family, and they are a crime family, they are a Ba'athist Allawite family, and the divisions like the 4th Armour Division are Allawite divisions. They are the property, or viewed as the property, of the Assad crime family. The fact that they are of a different Islamic sect to the Wahhabist Sunni version of Islam, which of course makes them heretics in the view of the Saudis, is neither here nor there. They've kind of they're sitting on a powder cake, because of course the Sunni arc that goes from Syria into Iraq, and which was a way for jihadists to go in a sort of southeastern arc of the Sunni Wahhabist brand, sponsored by Saudi Arabia, to fight the Americans, is no longer there, and then to fight the rival private army, which is split between the Saudis and the Binladens, like AlQueada, in its different chapters. And of course there are many sub-brands and chapters of AlQueada and a central core leadership, one of which, of course, Osama bin Laden was the leader and has been killed, but his family is still extremely powerful. They've still got billions of pounds, and they're still not as bad as the Saudi royal family, which is to say that they are even worse. Whereas AlQueada saw themselves as a defensive fighting force from their warped view of attacking on 9/11, the Saudis see their world view as an imperial project to suppress or kill any dissent against the total conversion of all humanity to their brand of Islam, which is only another way to get a Trojan horse of neo-feudalism imposed on every country. Whether they can do it or not is neither here nor there. They believe they can do it, and they seem to have the means to be able to co-opt the Americans into submission behind a shield of oil and banking funds. This is the worry. Although Syria, with its many different factions, Sunni, Shia, Alawite, Druze, and Christian and other smaller minorities, are being dominated by one crime family, the Assads. When you remove that, what will happen? That is what they've been asking in the European Parliament recently. And people were taken in by the ideas that Assad was going to be a reformer, not like his father who killed 35,000 people near Homs in the 1980s, or that he was going to rearrange his policies towards supporting Iran and Hezbollah. Have now radically changed their view, and the wall has come up. The Europeans are not happy, and they do have the power, the military power, to unleash Turkey like that if they wanted to. They've tried to do the softly surgeon approach of targeting the regime as individuals, the 200 odd families that are dependent on the Assad crime family. Now, that is, any sanctions are a declaration of war. That is, legally, we are at war with Syria, in a sense. They are trying to kill our journalists and things like that. I mean, the gloves are off. I mean, they are they've stormed into Hama. They are slaughtering the people. If the gloves were ever on, they were always knuckle dusters. These people, as I said, with the Saudis and Iranians, they kill people's families, and